How to travel for cheap in 2020. One of the nice things about becoming financially free is that you also get the ability to travel freely. When you're traveling, there are plenty of ways to cut costs down. I feel like the average person might do 1 to 2 vacations per year, and during these vacations, they just spend a buttload of money. For example, I live a few hours away from a major beach spot, and I think like everyone in my community goes to this beach spot every year. They do the same exact trip every year. They spend thousands on the place to stay, and then maybe like $50 per meal. And the entertainment costs are just through the roof. So why not cut down your travel costs on these bigger vacations and instead travel more for less? That's why I'm going to be sharing a bunch of tips and tricks today on how to keep costs low with traveling. Welcome to Bread Chasers. For the record, life is not all about money, but I love helping people become financially free so that they have the ability to give to others, to comfortably pay for the basic essentials of life, and so that they can make a difference in this world. I love to talk about investing, entrepreneurship, and business. I post multiple videos every single week, so hit the like, smash the subscribe button, and let's just get this party started. There are 3 main costs for every trip: transportation, accommodations, and food. I'm gonna dive into each of these separately. So first, let's start with transportation. To start, it depends on where you're going. Are you driving if it's not too far away? Are you flying? I'm going to assume that we're flying, especially if it's any more than 8 to 10 hours away. Personally, the farthest I've driven for a trip was 16 hours, and that was a lot to handle. But of course, we had a group, so that was probably the cheapest option. Let's just assume we're flying. Google Flights. If you haven't heard of Google Flights, you should hop on that right after watching this video. Check it out. I always find the cheapest prices on there. If you go anywhere else, you might run into some service fees and other BS. So that's why I use Google Flights. Google has a really great reputation. I'd stick with them if I were you. First, we need to figure out what airport are you going to be flying out of. The cheapest airports are going to be the international airports, the ones that have a lot of flights coming in and out. It tends to be that the smaller airports just seem to have higher prices. Personally, for me, I have 3 major airports nearby, so sometimes you need to do some price comparisons. Generally speaking, the bigger airports have cheaper flights. Date flexibility is huge. If you're planning to travel on the weekends or like Friday night, then the prices for flights are just going to be more expensive. That's why you should definitely consider traveling during the week, perhaps on a Tuesday or Wednesday. That seems to be the best time to travel. Let's take a look at Google Flights right now and see what we can find. I'm absolutely shocked right now. If you're flexible, you can fly from Baltimore, Washington International Airport to Denver, Colorado for only $27 one way. That's insane. Filling up a tank of gas costs more than that. To be clear, this is one way, so you do need to figure out how to get back. I like to book one-way tickets. That way you can jump between different airports, different airlines to get the best deals. You can even create your own layover flights instead of using automated systems, because they might not always be getting you the best deal. Remember, the intention of most of these travel sites is to fill seats, and they get paid a percentage for the sale. The point is, when most people think plane tickets, they're thinking a minimum $200 to $300 on the low end, and up to thousands depending where you're going, and that doesn't need to be the case. As long as you're doing your research and booking in advance, you can almost always find a really great deal. Now let's say, okay Josh, well, I want to go somewhere out of this country. How can you possibly find a cheap deal now? Again, as long as you're flexible with your dates and you don't mind too much of exactly where you'll be going, again, you can find some jaw-dropping deals. So go to Google Flights, put in your closest international airport, click Explore Destinations. This gives you the ability to compare a whole bunch of different flights, prices, etc. If you're a spontaneous, adventurous person, you're going to love this. As you can see here, from where I'm at, going to places such as Barcelona or other places in Europe, you can find deals just around the $200 price point one way. So by doing this, you may end up in some really cool places. Next, let's talk about sleeping arrangements. Every year, I feel like more and more people aren't going to hotels as much. it's transitioning more to Airbnb, which is cool and makes a lot of sense. With hotels, you can easily spend thousands of dollars on your stay. With Airbnb, however, the prices range so much. You can stay in places as cheap as like $20. Just go on Airbnb and you can definitely find a really great deal on accommodations. However, if you're going to a country that is somewhat unsafe, make sure you do your research. Staying with a reputable hotel is a great option for that. I don't recommend going to any country that is unsafe, or if the government is unstable, you should definitely avoid going to those countries. Always go to some place that is going to be safe. Hostels are also great options if you're more open to your accommodations. If you're okay with sleeping in a room with other people around, if you're an open-minded person and you don't mind talking with other people, these are also particularly good for people who are younger. Hostels are a great option. If you're not an outgoing person, it might not be the best fit for you. Another way to save money on accommodations is simply knowing someone, right? So knowing a friend can save you a lot of money. Let's pretend you want to go somewhere, however, and you don't have a friend. In this day and age, you can easily meet someone on Instagram. Instagram is a great platform that gives you the ability to actually connect with people all over the world, and you can make friends on Instagram. So this should be natural, like you should actually want to become their friend. You can start by just DMing someone that you want to become friends with in a different country. And the cool thing is that you can actually learn so much about someone just by simply looking at their Instagram profile. So if you develop a relationship with someone in another country, maybe you comment on their posts and maybe message them every once in a while. A couple months down the road, maybe say, hey, I'm coming to the area, we should link up. I would suggest waiting for them to invite you over. Don't invite yourself over, but you might get lucky, they might invite you over and you have free accommodations. Maybe you might be staying on a couch or an air mattress, but that's free accommodations. This is a cool way to essentially make connections and get free accommodations if you're a friendly person. Of course, make sure it's someone that you can trust, someone who's reliable. A way that you can build trust is by FaceTiming, giving them a call, things like that. Then, after you had a great time visiting them, when they want to come visit you, you can offer your place, and so it's a win-win for everyone. Plus, being with someone who knows the area where you're traveling is huge because sometimes you might not know where to go. You might just know the touristy spots, and instead of just going to the touristy spots, you might want to actually go and try to get a feel for what the actual place is really like, what it's actually like to live there and work there and to be there. So meeting people online, building a friendly relationship, and then going out traveling, visiting them, that's a great way that you can go about with traveling the world. I challenge you to make a goal to meet 3 new people every single day. So whether that be in school, whether that be on Instagram, whether that be in the gym, whatever you have going on, always try to meet 3 people each day. And that way, whenever you have more options, that just gives you the ability to make connections and you'll have more travel opportunities. Next, I want to talk about food. So we don't need to go out to these super fancy restaurants spending hundreds of dollars on food. Doing some basic general research can really help cut down on food costs. So any city that you're going to travel to is going to have some place where the food is really good and really cheap. Another idea is to simply go to the local grocery store and just get some bread, ham, turkey, and cheese, and that can go a long way with covering meal costs. If you take all these tips and tricks and implement them into your next travel opportunity, I assure you the costs will go down immensely. So stick to a budget and just go for it. Here's some top things that you can stay away from to cut down your costs. Rental cars, parking. Instead of getting a rental car, just consider doing Uber, Lyft. Pretty easy, right? Pretty self-explanatory. You're gonna just be saving a lot of money doing that, depending on how far you need to travel, etc. Public transportation, of course, is also a great option to cut down on rental car costs. So also consider just cutting down on any expensive restaurants and high entertainment costs. So you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on entertainment to have a good time. There are other ways to have fun in places that you've never been to before. And again, meeting new people is one of the best ways that you can just have a good time and you don't have to spend a lot of money meeting new people. It's definitely one of those things whenever you meet someone, it's kind of like exciting. It's just like an exciting thing, and it's entertaining in itself, just meeting new people. I have a lot more content coming your way, so thank you so much for subscribing, dropping a like, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.